Well, we have a major announcement as far as the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. We know that Sorensen was let go yesterday, although they're still trying to figure out what his position is with the team. If they can keep him around, we'll see how that plays out. And we knew that Robert Saleh was going to be the apple of Kyle Shanahan's eye, but now we have the official word that Robert Saleh will be offered the job, according to Josina Anderson, assuming he does not get a head coaching position. Now, he has had a couple interviews. For some reason, I've got a weird feeling that the Jags are going to hire him. The reason that I say that is because Trent Baalke is kind of between a rock and a hard spot where not a lot of coaches are going to want to work for Trent Baalke. He somehow keeps skating by. There's a lot of dysfunction over in Jacksonville. And Robert Saleh seems like the perfect candidate for that because he just came from a dysfunctional organization. I don't know that he'll be getting a head coaching shot anytime soon, so that's why he would want it. And then if the Jags don't have a better option, then they might just end up with Robert Saleh. So I have a weird feeling that might happen, but let's assume that it doesn't, and the 49ers are going to offer Robert Saleh. Will he take the job? I don't know, but it does seem to be trending towards a major possibility that Robert Saleh will be back. So let's assume that that's the case, and let's talk about it.
Check out the sponsor of today's video, Underdog. Link is in the description. Promo code LSS. That'll get you a deposit match, 50% up to $1,000 plus one free play. Underdog has so many options to have fun, put a little skin in the game. You can do more or lesses. You can do weekly fantasy. You can do daily fantasy, yearly fantasy, and multiple sports to choose from. Basketball, football, baseball, MMA, the list goes on and on. Have a little bit of fun with Underdog. They've been a great sponsor all year long. Thank you so much, Underdog. Appreciate you. Links in the description. Check them out.
I threw out the suggestion yesterday of Mike Penn. And the reason that I threw that out there is because I'm looking for a whole philosophy switch with the San Francisco 49ers, a whole schematic switch up. Right now, the 49ers run a wide nine, which is a defensive front. They play soft zone behind that. They don't disguise their coverage as well. They don't blitz exotically. There's just not a lot of pre-snap chaos going on that the defense creates. And a lot of that is because of Kyle Shanahan. And he's talked about this multiple times about how he believes a sound defense has great players on it and doesn't do a lot of crazy disguises. They are just better than offenses. And that stuff works when that is the case. But this 49ers team is not the same that it was when Robert Saleh was here the first time. This is not the 2019 49ers that are super deep along the defensive line that can get home with four. This is a different unit. This is a unit now that I think relies more on the secondary. I think that secondary can play a lot of press man. I think coming in with heavy blitzes and showing blitzes and rolling coverages and playing press man, all those things would benefit this particular defense. Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan, that is not the preference. So I do think that Robert Saleh is very smart. And don't get me wrong, I love Robert Saleh. If the 49ers and Shanahan are not going to have a philosophy shift and a change schematically, then Robert Saleh is the best hire. Like, let's be clear about that. I had just hoped for something different. I don't know why. I mean, we know what it is at this point. This is what they do. This is what Kyle does. I don't know why I would expect anything different. I just hope that it would be different. But it seems like that is not going to be the case. Now, Robert Saleh being a smart coach, I'm sure he will adjust and do some things defensively that Kyle Shanahan will trust. But if he does become the defensive coordinator, what if it just doesn't go as well as people expect? I think what people are expecting with Robert Saleh is that he's going to come in and everything's going to be fine. They're going to go right back to a top three defense, just like they were before, just like they were, ironically, under Steve Wilkes, at least from a scoring perspective. And everything's going to be great. He's just going to pick up right where he left off, and we're going to be right back in the Super Bowl. led by this defense. And I don't see that, especially if Trey Greenlaw leaves. I don't understand where this thought process is coming from. I don't think Nick Sorensen was cut out for the job. I don't think it was ever a good hire. I didn't like it from the beginning. I didn't like firing Steve Wilkes, other than, because I thought he was a good coach, and I think he proved that. But I understood why they did it based off of the players and him not clicking. Okay, that's fine. But when you bring in Sorensen, I thought it was a mistake from the beginning. You've got a first-time defensive coordinator on a team that's trying to win a Super Bowl. It never seemed to line up for me. So now you go back to the well, you bring in Robert Saleh. Again, love Robert Saleh, but I just don't think that this thing's going to turn around the way that people expect it to. It will be better. It definitely will be better, just because Robert Saleh is seasoned and he knows what he's doing. This isn't his first rodeo. So I believe that even Robert Saleh last year, if he was coaching this defense as depleted as they would have been in a much, much better spot than they were with Sorensen, who was doing this for the first time. But I just don't think that it's going to go back to being a dominant defense. I think this team, Kyle Shanahan, really has to look at this offense and understand that this offense is going to be the driver for this team moving forward, at least in the near future. They've got way too much talent on the offense. If they revamp the offensive line a little bit, there are just no excuses. You've got a top paid quarterback who is an MVP candidate, franchise quarterback, all the things. These are all the things that I'm told. So if that is the case, that should be the leader of your team, especially when you have two highly paid receivers, a first-round receiver, a Hall of Fame tight end, a Hall of Fame left tackle, CMC, who was an offensive player of the year. Like, if you're going to keep all these guys around and you don't think that they are washed a little bit or you should move on, then that offense better be the driver for why this team wins next year. And I think that we've seen the writing on the wall. This is now the third offseason that I've said this, where I believe that the offense, that this team is going and making an offensive shift, meaning the offense has to be the reason why. Kyle Shanahan, I think, would prefer to run the ball and have the defense be the reason why, and that's why he would bring in a Saleh, hoping that it just fixes itself. And I just don't see that happening. So we'll see how this plays out. Again, if they are running this philosophy, this system, Saleh is absolutely the best, the right choice. I just hoped that they would do something a little bit different this time around.